What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hoops Post Up NBA Restart Edition. It's been oh so long since I was waiting to say those words. The NBA regular season is finally coming to an end.
And it's been oh so long since we put out a video. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, to be fair, there hasn't been a lot to talk about.
Have a little bit of a tan going. We were on
Well,
vacation
yeah, vacation happens.
in a quarantine type setting, but we're back
Yeah.
now and we're ready to talk NBA.
That's right. It's about a week until the actual season restarts, and so we're gonna look at the bubble situation as far as the schedule because the schedule was released a couple weeks ago, and you think, well, I mean, it's not a big deal. There's only 8 games left, but those 8 games were crucial for some of those teams fighting to make the playoffs, and even for seeding. Even though technically home court, there's no real home court. Like, look, you're playing in Orlando, like it or not. But seeding matters, right? That first round matchup, who you get to play in the first round, it's going to matter. So for some of these teams, it is quite important. We're going to talk about the winners and the losers based on the schedule for NBA restart.
And I don't know what was the process? Like how did they decide and determine like who got what schedule? Because we were looking over them and a couple of teams got
Jack? Or let you say janked? Is that what you say? Janked?
janked.
That's a good question. I don't know the process. We know what the schedule is. How do they decide? I mean, you figure the way they make the schedule in the first place is, representative from every team. They all get together and they have their formulas and their dates where they can't. Like the Spurs, like, look, we got to go on the road basically all of, February because of the rodeo. They have their
right.
conflicts.
And that's totally different now.
But it's different now. Yeah, everyone's playing in the same
We were
place.
taking a look at some of the schedules and I thought, how unfair.
Well, that's a good question. How do they figure it out? Because there's only a certain number
Or
of teams,
how fortunate.
For some teams it's fortunate, some teams not so much. 22 teams, I don't think that they went in saying like, hey, we're going to help this team hurt. I mean, I love a good conspiracy theory, especially for the NBA, but I don't think that's what happened. But they did try to get teams from the same conference kind of, matching up in important matchups.
Right.
But as it turned out, some teams got luckier and some teams didn't. So let's take a look. So the first team that actually came out ahead because of the schedule is the Washington Wizards, which is good for them because they don't really have a great chance of making the playoffs, and they needed this. And man, they got it. They got a very fortunate schedule because they originally had, I think, the
hardest finish.
The toughest.
Right.
The original season, right, had the regular
original
season played out. They had the toughest remaining schedule based on opponent winning percentage.
And now they're landing about the middle of the road, right? They're about 10th.
Right. They don't have it. So, again, to be clear, they don't have the easiest or one of the easiest, really. They're kind of middle of the road, but they benefited from this and they needed some help because they're on the outside looking in. So here's the question. Does it really matter for Washington? I mean, do you think they actually have a chance to make the playoffs? Because they're right now, I think, 5-6 games out?
Any team who's playing, right, who's been given this extension, I think it matters. They're there. They're putting themselves on the line. Their families are, not always going to be present in the bubble. I don't know how many people are allowed in. I know the barbers are allowed in. They're created a whole shop for them, but
that's important.
I think it matters. Like if they're going to show up, they're going to be there, they're putting in the work. It matters for everyone.
Okay, Washington as a team, obviously not that great, but then again, the whole bottom of the East isn't that great, right? They have Orlando, who technically is the only team that does have a home court advantage, and then Brooklyn. Those are the teams realistically they could catch.
And we're going to talk about Brooklyn because Brooklyn
Well,
maybe in a tough spot.
Let's talk about Brooklyn right now because basically in the East, Orlando has that 8th spot, but Brooklyn in the 7th spot, they might be the team that actually is vulnerable.
Okay.
I mean,
so you're thinking that Washington can knock out Brooklyn from their 7th spot?
I think it's possible just because of how many players Brooklyn is missing, and we talked about this on our opt-out episode, the players that aren't showing up. There's a lot of players that aren't showing up for Brooklyn, and that's not including the guy who didn't show up all year, Kevin Durant, right? This was already a team that knew they weren't really a contender. They're playing for next year, right? They're waiting for next year.
Just to talk about this for a second, if you haven't visited our website at hoopspostup.com, he broke down everything. He's written articles on there, so you can kind of get the details of everything that kind of unfolded prior to this. So go check that out, and we'll link that at the end or down below.
Yeah, we got all this in written form too.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Washington's chances because, again, Brooklyn missing 4 key players already. Um, to be honest, again, if I'm Brooklyn, maybe I'm tanking, right? Maybe I don't want to make the playoffs because I'm playing for next year anyways. Maybe I want to keep my guys safe, right? I'm not going to throw Kyrie out there for 40 minutes a game. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that between the players they're missing,
Take a
why
chance
take a
on
chance?
like any injuries.
I mean, for what, really? I mean, honestly, I
Yeah.
know it's
Yeah.
not cool to just admit you're tanking, but it happens, all right? But do you think Washington then makes that push?
Well, do they have enough? Because I know their shooter is out.
Bertans, your
Yeah,
guy, former
yeah.
Spur.
Yeah.
To me, yeah, it would have to be more a case of Brooklyn losing the playoff spot than Washington winning it. I don't know if Washington's the kind of team, even with a kind of more favorable schedule, I don't know that they're a team I can see winning like 6 or 7 out of 8. I just don't think so. But I don't know. This is their, if they have a chance, this is their chance.
This is their chance, right?
Yeah.
They're finishing out easy. So up next, we're going to talk about, and we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks, right?
So Dallas, honestly, I kind of forgot that Dallas was like a playoff team.
Oh, how?
I don't know. I mean,
How?
all I know is
They have
okay.
the best rising star ever.
Okay, so here's what I remember about Dallas. They got Luka. I think Dirk Nowitzki's retired, right? Didn't he retire? He's gone. I remember the whole parade. That was last year, right?
Oh, Dirk is gone.
All right, and then
Yes,
Mark Cuban
yes.
is in the news just for things that have nothing to
And-
do with basketball, really.
But you know what? I love what he's doing.
No, hey,
Absolutely.
I never thought
You
I
go-
would say this.
You
but,
go, Mark Cuban.
But props to Mark Cuban. I
Yes.
never thought I would say it. But anyways,
Yes.
but like if you ask me what's their record, what seed are they? Like, I don't know. I didn't really think about it until I looked up the restart information. They're I think the 7th seed right now.
They're 7th, but they are so close. They could actually move up to the 4th spot, depending on how they finish out this season. I mean, they really could make a push to kind of, get themselves into contention.
A better spot. I mean, if you're in the 7th seed, then who are you going to get in the first round? You're getting the Clippers. That's not who you want to face the first round of the playoffs.
I don't think anybody wants to face them in the first round.
No, exactly. If you're anywhere else, really 6 through 4, I mean, you're going to get somebody who's right there with you. One of these teams that could be vulnerable, right? Like a Houston or something. So it does matter.
Dallas's schedule. Where does it land with the 22 teams that are there?
Well, I'm sure, and actually, it's a good time since you mentioned the website. We have some of the details here, and you look at this article about the schedule of winners and losers. So you see there, Washington. Did you remember? So we just rewatched Django the other day, so I had to throw that meme in there.
Oh, very cool.
But see the winners here, not to tease, not to give away too much. Dallas 15th toughest as far as remaining schedule. Remember, this is 15 out of 22 because there's only 22 teams in this situation. So
Right.
again, is it the easiest? No, but it's down there enough where it was going to do them some favors, right? They're going to play some teams with losing records. They get some of the softies in the West, right? Your
So they
Phoenixes
can
and things like that.
definitely kick out. Gosh, who's in the 4th spot right now?
I think it's
In the West.
Utah,
Okay.
right? We got teams like Utah, Houston, OKC, right? They're all jam packed there. So I'm saying
It's
you
all
wouldn't
pretty
think,
tight.
well, you wouldn't think of Dallas as a home court advantage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of team. They could be. So this is their chance.
We talk about home court advantage. I don't know
I
if y'all
mean-
got to check out a couple of the scrimmages.
It's a
I
little
don't
weird.
even know if it matters.
What do you think of that whole thing? Honestly, what do you think of the whole thing where they have like the big
It
screen
was-
with the fans, like
It was
virtual
very
fans?
strange. Now I know that like feedback from people who were there, they said the sound effects helped, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just dead court.
Yeah,
But the visual watching it, it's just off.
it's a little weird.
It's like watching them like during summer training and they let fans go and visit while they're and it's
But
just
the whole like big
pick
screen
up.
with the fans, like it's kind of like a whole Blade Runner feel to me, which is kind of I don't know, but it's not as creepy as baseball where they have the cardboard cutouts in Dodger Stadium. That was
Yeah, we talked about the cardboard cutouts.
That
As
was
long
just-
as that
that was kinda
money is going to something productive and maybe to, some of these
I wouldn't count on that. But anyways, moving on. Okay, so those are some of the winners, right? We have the teams with easier schedules that could either make a push or move up in the standings. Now here are the losers, some teams that maybe want to take a look back and their schedule makers
Would
and
have
say, what
hoped,
did you do to us?
yeah,
Now,
to a better schedule.
probably the team that if there's a dark horse, right, that people say, okay, could come out of the West, could jump into the playoffs, it's Portland, right, for
Yeah,
obvious reasons.
we've always been talking about that in their situation. Portland is ready.
Okay, so they have obviously the star players. They got Dame, they got McCollum, of course, they got Melo.
Melo's looking good.
He's hit some shots, right? He's doing all right. I mean, this is the time where you need him is the playoffs, right? This is
Yeah.
where you rely on him. So they have the talent, right? They have the experience. They don't have the good schedule, unfortunately. So one of the toughest schedules in this restart, and you know what? That's going to hurt them because obviously the West in itself is just tougher
Hard enough
competition.
as it is.
But they have a hill to climb, right? They have to jump up into the playoffs. Do you think they can do it?
If you're motivated, they seem to be. They seem to be pretty pumped about this extension in the season or finishing out this season. I think they can do it.
Right, Portland has the 5th toughest schedule. They only play one team with a losing record. Second toughest, I say for last, is my team. That's the Heat.
Had to put them in there.
Look.
And that's okay. Absolutely. This is our channel. This is our talk. We can do whatever we want, right?
What I'm saying, this is not a good thing. All right? I'm saying that they have the second toughest schedule. They also only face one team with a losing record, and that's Brooklyn, and that's at the very end. Now, does it matter as much of the Heat? No, they're not going to jump up to the number 1 seed, and they're not going to fall out of the playoffs. They're probably going to kind of stay where they are. They're going to be probably the 4th seed.
Watching them play today, we're recording this on the first day of scrimmages, okay? And so watching the Heat play today, they haven't missed a step. Their defense is amazing. And oh my goodness, their shooters are spot on. Like,
Duncan
I
Robinson.
would fear playing them. I seriously, in the East, like seriously, like that. Miami can take it. They looked so good and collective. I mean, it was fluid. You would never think that they were off quarantine, confined. It looks like they've been practicing and playing this whole 3 or 4 months.
That goes to coaching,
Yeah.
Coach Spo, right? And
It was
that
beautiful
mentality.
to watch today.
And you said it, it's a team. They play team ball. They don't rely on one guy, right? Jimmy Butler is the all-star, but he's not the leader in terms of points. So many games where, in fact, there was a stat the other day, when he scores fewer points, they win. They do better because that means other guys are involved, right? And he's not having to carry the load. He's not a 30-point-a-night guy anyways, right?
So talk to me about their schedule.
Okay.
They have the second toughest schedule.
Right. So every team they are playing is going to have a winning record. It's a playoff team. Or most of them are playoff teams, but still, they don't have any cupcakes except for Brooklyn.
And he are seated at
Right now, 4. Here's the key: is they play Indiana twice. In Indiana and Miami, it's 4 and 5, and that's where the battle is because they're going to be vying for home court, whatever. Bias included. Right, I'm not going to push my bias aside. I'll include it, but I said it before. I'm saying it again. Miami is the team. If there's a sleeper team out of the East who can come out, that's the one, right? Toronto, I know they have the experience, but they don't have the guy, right? I don't think Kyle Lowry's a guy who can carry them. Siakam could get there. I don't think he's there yet. Right? Play like I'm talking carry a team through the playoffs.
Right.
I don't think he doesn't have that experience. And Miami's got the mentality. They got the defense, right? They got the shooting, right? I'm just saying, I think they could be a team that makes a push. But, this schedule is not doing them any favors. So I think they'll probably kind of stay in the 4th seed.
Okay. I was very impressed. I loved watching them play. It was very enjoyable. They were moving the ball. Everybody was involved. It was just
But your team,
the kind of basketball that I love.
Your team in the East is still...
What? Milwaukee
It's
Bucks?
still Milwaukee Bucks.
No,
Yes.
no.
Oh,
Heat
you
first.
were rooting hard for
No,
them
no,
today.
no.
We were
Heat
watching the scrimmage
first.
today, and
You can rewind. You can
George
watch
Hill.
video.
Oh,
You can
Coach
do all of that.
Bud.
No. Coach Bud, bless his heart. He needs to get on the treadmill. Okay, so he's got a little bit of a belly. No belly challenge. No, seriously. No, if we go back, I'm always going to support my Heat because that's that's my second team. That's your
good.
family. That's our team. We're there. That's family. That's number 2. But Bucks, former Spurs, former Spurs, former Spurs.
That's not a bad pick. I mean, they're kind of the top team right now,
Yeah.
record-wise, so that's probably the smart pick. But I would be really interested because he did beat Milwaukee during the regular season that game. I'd be really interested if the conference
Collectively,
finals
they
came
look
down.
so much better watching the Heat play today and watching the Bucks play today. Seriously, looking at the two teams, watching them
Yep.
today, the Heat have the edge from what I saw today.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
All right, but predictions, we already did that, right? If you haven't seen that episode, check out our playoff prediction episode, which we did as soon as we knew that this season was actually restarting. But for now, let's see how the rest of the regular season plays out, and we'll see how those 8 games go because I don't know. Some teams might be ready. Some teams might be a little, I don't know what you want to call it, lagged, not jet lagged, quarantine lagged.
I don't
Just a
know.
little off.
I've heard everyone's fired up.
You think everyone's gonna come out firing? You think
What
that?
I saw today was still same old.
Well, this you're talking about the Spurs.
I
Yeah,
don't
well,
wanna talk about Spurs
that's
right
more
now.
about the players on
yeah.
the court. But anyways, yeah, I think the teams will be ready to go. I mean, I know, yeah, they had that layoff. They've been practicing. They were scrimmaging. They'll be ready, right? So looking forward to it. You're fired up.
Yeah, yeah.
Fired up.
Basketball's on. Let's
A
go.
big old party with just the two of us.
Let's do it.
So a barbecue in the backyard or something. Just the two of us.
We can.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. And of course,
Don't forget to like if you enjoyed our video. Subscribe. Always subscribe. You know, I know we're gonna try to get this going on a regular schedule. Life is busy right now, as you know. We have kids, so it's a little crazy. But subscribe, like, and don't forget to follow us on all social media and check out our website. Really. This guy's a writer and he's the expert and he's got some beautiful content on there as well.
well, thank you. And yeah, normal schedule. I don't think anybody has a normal schedule these days. So I think we can get a little slack for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right. Don't forget. Peace and love, everyone. Peace
Always
and love.
peace and love.